And welcome back to another episode of Rusted Up Garage. We want to take a second and welcome all you new people and thank all of you who have subscribed to our channel. Today we are going to be discussing the 55 Olds. Now, as you guys have probably seen in the previous videos, we have basically, you know, really gone crazy. But that's because we needed to. We found all the issues with the motor, we found the issues with the front end, we found some issues in the rear end. I mean, it's a 55 stock, like original. And we need this thing to be a driver. So we are going to be doing hot rod power tour of this, as you guys know. So we are going to need some upgrades. So the motor's being done currently, transmission's being done currently, new springs are getting sprung currently, and we pretty much have everything else here. So, but we're going to be working on disassembly. We're going to be removing on front end and rear end, and getting that ready for replacement. And one big thing for the rear end that is exciting is we have finally gotten all the parts for the rear end. So let's take a second and first like and share this video, and then we are going to take a second and show you what we have got for the 55. So are you guys ready? Because here we go. That's right, quick performance, 9-inch rear end for this puppy. So the reason why we went this direction is we wanted disc brakes in the rear to match the front. So this car will be 4-wheel disc brakes here, 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 and here. So she's gonna really have some stopping power for all them horsepowers that it's gonna have. But this is a really sweet rear end. So it was custom built for the car. A big problem with Oldsmobiles that I'm finding is no one has parts. So if this thing breaks down on the side of the road, I can't just get a 55 Oldsmobile part. So we're having to modernize the running gear a tad. Now the motor will be stock, but it'll be new and it shouldn't have any problems because it's gonna be fuel injected and all the other fun stuff. But take a look at this rear end. Now you can't tell me, I mean, quick performance, it is beautiful. I mean, beautiful craftsmanship on this rear end. It's just stunning. It's got a nice little fill plug. You know, it's got a drain underneath. Here are the axles in here. I mean, these things are, this is way more than what this car is ever gonna need. I mean, we're gonna be able to put some power down. So these are the new axles for it. I'm not gonna show you the disc brake stuff. I mean, you guys know what disc brake stuff is. When we go to installing it, I'll be sure to show you as far as in the rear end. And the center section is actually over there as well. We decided to go with 350 gears. It is a Detroit locker, so that'll be handy. So again, quick performance, beautiful stuff, custom built for anything you need. It's just, I can't say enough about what they sent us. It's great. They've been in contact with us. Great company to work with. So again, another shout out to them. But now what we're gonna do is, because I've been chatting for a lot, is we're gonna get into some building or unbuilding. So we're gonna do a little walk around under the car. Can I show you where we're at? Because the last one you guys saw, probably the motor was out. We did power wash it and I got about 350 tons of grease off from it, but there's still about 2,500 tons left. So I'm going to scrape that manually. Yay. But let's do a little peeping. So the front end, as you can see, it is stock for the car and it's going to remain stock. We're just going to replace the bushings, kingpins, sway bar, and sway bar links, and then scrape it all up, clean it all up. So we do have to remove on all of the front end That needs to happen. It is disc brake converted, but it's still gonna need some love. It has a little shake that I don't like. Now we'll slide to the rear. I have already started back here. So here is the rear end currently. I mean, look at that beast. Now, the only thing that sucks is I'm still waiting on the springs. They should be back by the time you guys probably see this video. They'll probably be here, possibly. And we'll be able to start getting them in. We started doing some cleaning on the frame and stuff, and we're gonna get all this cleaned up, re-undercoated, repainted black. So that'll be cool. Now, the Oldsmobile kind of looks like, on the left, it kind of looks like, you know, a 9-inch area. So it ain't gonna look a whole lot different, except for obviously that one's webbed and such. But this can be a huge upgrade for the back of this car. So the fuel tank is pulled, and we have started the disassembly. Let me go up underneath here. Zach's probably going to do some cutting in here. Now we did, this is the current sway bar, which is, I mean, as you can see, my finger is bigger around than this sway bar. We do have an upgraded bar. We'll do a little bar comparison. We're done, but I can twist this bar by myself. Like, I mean, it's like nothing, nothing. So bar is going to get swapped, bigger bar. You're going to need new shocks. It had coilovers up underneath it, and I have to look in the paperwork for this thing to find out when those were put on. So I want to show you guys something cool here. I don't know if we can get it so you can see it. It's a little bright. Let me see if I can back her down a little bit. Here we go. So here's something that's cool. I got a whole box of parts for this car, and this little book right here actually shows all of its oil. Oops, sorry. Actually shows all of its oil changes through the years, and it also shows all of its. So it was greased, which we know she was greased. There's no doubt. But what's cool is it also tells me in here at what mileage it got new shocks front and rear. Right here, new shocks front and rear at 43,370,000 miles. So what's cool about that is the car only has 65,000 miles on it. We know it was parked back in I don't know, I'll have to look that up, but a long time ago is when it was parked. And so these shocks are, I don't know, like 30, 40 years old. But it's kind of cool because it literally, we got all this cool information. It also talks about, like if you go back on this side, we have all the fuel ups of the car, when it was fueled, how much gallons it used, price of per gallon. So there's all kinds of cool stuff in this little book that we got with the car. So the shocks were changed, I mean, a lot of years ago. We got a bunch of other cool stuff with this car as well too. So, but they put on these coilovers back in the day that are basically dead now. Let's see if I can get this thing like that, maybe, or like, I'm not good at this camera and stuff by myself. So they do actually have a little rebound left in them, believe it or not. If you pull them, but they have no, in there. The only thing bringing these things up and down would have been the spring, the coil spring. So, as you can see, they're old. But now we're going to get working on getting the rest of this rear end out. boys and girls, that right there was a unit. Take off my gloves. Everything on this car is such a... There, missing. But, I mean, look at this unit. I mean, that's a, she's all there unit. She was leaking up the bottom from everywhere. Now what's kind of cool is, as you see right here, the shock mounts are. Sometime through the year, they put, they change the when they change the shocks, they actually added these brackets to the bottom. So it allowed them to move the shock outward and down so they could go with longer and a better angle on the shocks. So that's kind of cool. The only difference is I'm gonna have to get them milled because our rear end ain't this wide. As you can see, our rear end's just a little bit narrower, so I'll have to bring them to the machine shop and we'll just have to do a little work there. But what I'm excited, I want to just get the new rear end real quick and just set it in here just to see it. So let's just do that. But look at that. I mean, that right there is going to be a huge difference. Of course, can't put it in yet because I need the right springs. But as you guys can see, that's, I mean, it's perfect. She fit right in between, just like she's supposed to. Huh. Right?
You can read a tape measure, right?
That's what it means, Zach. Now, you can see. Now, the other thing, too, I did with this rear end is I narrowed it up. 2 inches, right?
Yeah, and on each side.
2 inches total. And the reason why I did that is because putting tires, the tires rims we have on here, literally you gotta bow the quarter panel out to get them up in. And it's just, they're rubbing real tight. So I narrowed it up, figured I could always put a wheel spacer and bring it back out. But at least that would give me the options of being a little bit narrower. Man, look at that rear end. That is nice. That's real nice. That's pretty. It's a pretty rear end right there.
And it weighs about a quarter of the weight of the other one.
I know. I'm pretty excited now.
This thing's really losing some weight.
Yep.
Between the rear end and the transmission.
I guess I gotta get the rest of it. I'm gonna pull that rear end back out now. And I get cranking on shocks. I mean, springs are gonna end up coming out of it. And then the back is pretty much gutted. I can start cleaning it. And then eventually moving on to the rest of the grease. Plus all the stuff on the top. God, there's so much to do. But, as you can see, it's just, yuck, it's everywhere. All of the grease. But cool. I'm going to set you guys up somewhere for probably just a time lapse for a bit, and we'll chat later. Same recording. Hey, we are back on the 55, or maybe we are currently still on the 55. God, I don't really know where we're at in the videos. Trying to keep up. It's just been, it hasn't been great, but you know, we're doing our best. We are going to continue taking the thing apart. I need to get the front end off so I can get that pulled apart so we can replace all the parts and get that tight. And I need to get it off so we can continue the cleaning. So basically the rear end's all pulled out, which you guys saw. And I pulled out the leaves. I should have recorded that, but I didn't, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna work on pulling the front end apart now and get all this stripped out, because after I get that out, then the next step is gonna be scraping and cleaning this car and getting the underside ready for undercoating and painting. And then we can start the reassembly process. So we are waiting on springs. I was told a couple more weeks and we should have those. By then the motor should be should be almost done in the machine shop, so hopefully we're getting that back in a couple weeks, and we'll just take it from there. But I got to get this front end blown apart so we can basically have it. Now, I've never pulled one of these apart before like this, so I don't completely know how the center link works and all that crap, but I mean, I'll just take you along for the ride and we'll figure it out. Now generally, you see I've removed all of this. Generally you can just hit that knuckle right there. Now, I'm not reusing this outer, but I'm gonna just hit it right here. And that just frees them right up. Really just trying to find stuff. So basically, I'm just trying to find where all the bolts are. It is that bad up in here. I know this is probably kind of boring, but you know, Zach said I had to record everything. I'm gonna take a minute to explain to you guys how this front end differs from like modern front ends. This front end don't use ball joints. This front end uses what's known as a kingpin. And it also uses the way the adjusters work to get the camber is not actually done with the upper A-frame or the lower A-frame. Those are actually solid mounted, so you don't shim them. So I'm just going to kind of show you how this works. It's kind of cool, but it's very old school, and I can't change it on this car without doing basically having to cut everything off and going to something more modern. And honestly, it ain't worth it to me to do all that. If it was a 55 Chevy, then I could just buy the parts and convert it to ball joints, but not an Olds. There is some mismatchy stuff they said you can do to get there, but it's just, for me, I'm just going to rebuild the front end, take it all apart. I'm going to rebuild it, put new kingpins in it, put all new bushings in it, all new adjusters in it, and then it'll be good. You know, I am going to increase the sway bar size. We're going to do better shocks. We got new springs, so it'll go a whole lot better. But I'm just going to kind of show you guys the difference here, and hopefully hopefully maybe you'll learn something from this. So here we go. So as you can see here, here is the upper A-frame. It is solid mounted right there, and it comes across, and right in here is the adjuster. Now I have a new one to show you guys. So basically, here's the new adjuster. Let me bring this down here. And as you can see, it is on an oblong. So once that's threaded into there, you can turn this like this back and forth. There's the long bolt that holds it together. That is actually, oops, not enough light on this side. That is actually right here. So that oblong piece sits right in here, and this is where the spindle sits. So that bolt holds it all together, but the oblong unit is right here. So if you want to give it more camber, you're going to turn that in and out. You're going to twist that. The lower will be the same way. You can actually adjust the upper and the lower on this. It's obviously going to take someone who knows what they're doing to give this thing a front end alignment. So that will be maybe a little tricky. The next thing is you're going to see is the spindle here is actually what's on kingpins. So there's a set of bushings in here, and in here, and in here, and a big long pin that drives down through, and you can grease it off the front. Actually, no, this one greases off the bottom. And so the spindle actually spins on them brass bushings. Unlike a conventional front end that you would see nowadays that would have a ball joint here hooked to the A-frame. This is actually a separate unit. You see the A-frame, upper A-frame here, hooks up to the adjusters with this long shaft, and hooks up to the lower with a long shaft, and then the kingpin set is all in this piece right in here. So if I could get two ball joints here and go to a newer spindle, then I could do that. But the problem is this piece right here. I just can't get there. I mean, we can get to a ball joint here and change the spindle, but my issue is when we get up in this upper A-frame, like I said, it's just a lot to convert the Oldsmobiles because no one has these parts. There's no such thing as a conversion for a Oldsmobile two ball joint and get rid of this system. Because the other problem is with the Oldsmobiles is the caster. Back in the old days, they didn't put as much caster in cars because they didn't go as fast. So if you're only doing 50, 60 miles an hour, it's not as bad. With today's cars doing 80, 90, it's a little more tricky. It's a little more, you're all over, you kind of more wander around the road because caster acts like a shopping cart wheel. So, if the shopping cart wheel is backwards, it goes nice and forward straight. Well, when the shopping cart wheel in the front gets turned the other direction, the cart wants to do this. So that's the problem with it's not to that extreme, but I can't get enough caster in this car due to the front end configuration on these. That's the biggest problem with these cars is you just can't get enough caster in them to basically lay them back. So when it's going down the road, it don't want to wander as much. So, I mean, that's just, it is what it is on these cars. You can get as much as you can get out of it, but it's just part of driving an older car. That's why everyone wants to put modern front clips on these cars, is because it gets rid of the kingpins, it fixes the caster issue, it gets rid of multiple issues. Plus the front end for this thing is not cheap. To get all the parts to build this thing is several $100s compared to rebuilding one like with ball joints and stuff. So, but I mean, it is what it is. It's going to be easier for us just to rebuild it. It is disc brake now converted, and like I said, we are going to replace the shocks and springs, and we have a sway bar that's twice this big. So that'll help with a lot of it. But I just kind of wanted to give you guys a rundown and kind of show you, like I said, the adjusters and how all this works. And when we actually pull this apart and start putting it together, we'll basically do a good video of how this whole system works. good news, we still have our teeth. I know you missed it. Battery went dead. I'll try to get it on the next side. But we had to get on the car and unloosen the nut on the shock, and then she went pow like that. And then we let the jack down, and it went wham like that. And then we pulled it out, and I gave it a little tug, and now you see. But our teeth remained in our grill the entire time. So, but now I'm gonna pull out this 1950s pen spring, and I mean, she's 1950s. They built them back then. I said new springs coming. I don't know if I really needed them, but now I did, because these were sagging. I mean, you gotta think these things are old. They've been holding this cart for that many years. It's just time to upgrade them. But let's check the front shocks out. So I know the rear ones were good. Well, well, I feel these are bad too. Just saying. I know they were put on according to the manual back in 1964, I think. They got new shocks at like 30,000. So these only have 30,000 miles on them. And they are the Monroes. Monroe Auto Equipment. So, I wonder if they're warranties. Probably not. But there we go. I'm gonna keep taking things apart. Let's go ahead and put it right back there, rip the A-frames off, and go to the other side and see if we can keep our teeth on that side. Okay, so basically we're back on the passenger side now. Doing the same thing on the driver's side. We still remove the uppers yet with them. We lower the car. I did pull the brake stuff off. I'm going to wind these bolts out, pull the brackets off. And same thing, put jack up underneath it, see if we can save our teeth. And drop out the spring and lower A-frame. Then I'll lower the car down, pull the uppers, pull the brake lines. And I think there's a cross member I got to pull. And I think from there I just got to start cleaning. But, you know, it's got to get done. So, no one else is going to come clean it for me. You'd think that somebody would, but. Okay, so now the idea here is to do this without removing our teeth. So, zone that in. We got top and start looking at shock. Teeth. So, springs out, not necessarily conventional, but you know, the thing is out. Hey, for those of you that make it through the end of the video, we know there's a couple, not everyone. We get it. You know, you don't watch the whole thing. It's fine. You know, but for those who made it to this point, okay, I need to apologize that we abruptly ended the video. But it rolls into the next part, and the next part gets real exciting. Where we go. So, I didn't want to waste it on the end of the video. I wanted to save it for next week. So, again, I apologize. Zach, you apologize? Zach don't care. He's just over here cutting videos. So, anyways, I want to just say thank you if you made it to the end. We're working our hardest to give you guys decent content, and you're gonna want to see next week's. It gets really good, don't it, Zach?
Yes, it does.
See, even Zach said it does, and he don't say nothing. So again, thank you very much. Hit the subscribe, hit the like, and thank y'all. Peace out.